There's a place within you where no storm can touch, no word can wound, no betrayal can shake. And today, through the profound teachings of Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet who unlocked the mysteries of the human soul, you'll discover how to find this inner sanctuary and make it your permanent dwelling. Imagine for a moment that your soul is like an antique mirror carrying reflections of 1,000 lives lived, 1,000 loves lost, 1,000 lessons learned in pain. Every person who crosses your path, every destabilizing situation, every hurtful word, are not random events. They are echoes of sacred contracts your soul signed before you were even born into this earthly plane. Edgar Cayce, in his over 14,000 psychic readings conducted in a trance state, revealed a revolutionary truth. Nothing that afflicts you today is truly about today. It's about yesterday, about past eras, about karmic debts and lessons your soul chose to learn. When someone betrays you, when love doesn't reciprocate your feelings, when a situation at work leaves you devastated, what's truly happening is a predestined encounter between souls who have known each other far longer than your physical eyes can perceive. Cayce taught that we instantly recognize certain people, whether by intense attraction or repulsion, because our souls carry memories of past interactions. That authoritarian boss might have been a strict father in a previous life. That partner who abandons you might be fulfilling a role you both agreed to play so you could both evolve spiritually. Suffering, then, is not punishment. It's an invitation for you to look beyond the surface of events and see the deeper pattern your soul is trying to heal. Think about those situations that repeat themselves in your life. Always the same type of person disappointing you, always the same relationship dynamic unfolding, always the same fears paralyzing you. This isn't bad luck or cruel fate. It's your soul repeatedly presenting you with the same lesson until you finally learn it and liberate yourself from it forever. Edgar Cayce spoke of what he called karmic patterns, cycles of experiences that repeat life after life until they are completely resolved. Imagine your soul as a cosmic student, enrolled in the University of Human Experience, and each affliction is a course you need to pass to graduate. You can repeat the same course as many times as necessary, but eventually, when you acquire the wisdom and understanding that experience came to teach you, you will no longer need to live it. But how exactly do you do that? How do you transform suffering into wisdom? How do you ensure that nothing and no one disturbs you anymore? The answer lies in three fundamental pillars that Edgar Cayce revealed through his teachings: recognition, responsibility, and surrender. The first pillar, recognition, is about developing what Cayce called spiritual insight, the ability to see beyond physical appearances and perceive the spiritual truth behind every situation. When someone hurts you, instead of reacting solely with emotional pain, you pause and ask yourself, what lesson is my soul trying to learn through this experience? What internal pattern is this situation mirroring? Perhaps that betrayal is teaching you about self-love and the importance of not seeking external validation. Perhaps that financial loss is showing you that your real security doesn't come from material things, but from your connection to the divine. Cayce frequently said that mind is the builder, meaning that our perception of reality creates our experience of reality. If you see every challenge as a personal attack, you will live in a constant state of war against the world. But if you begin to recognize each challenge as a gift in disguise, as a growth opportunity orchestrated by your own soul, then even the most difficult situations become sacred. I remember a story Cayce told about a woman who constantly suffered from abusive relationships. In her readings, it was revealed that in past lives she had been extremely domineering and controlling, causing much suffering to others. In this life, her soul chose to experience the other side of the coin to develop compassion and humility. When she recognized this pattern and began consciously working on developing self-esteem and healing the wounds of control, the abusive relationships simply disappeared from her life. She had learned the lesson and no longer needed to live it. The second pillar is responsibility, not the responsibility of blaming yourself for what happens to you, but the responsibility of recognizing that, on a deeper level, you are a co-creator of your reality. Edgar Cayce taught that our souls choose the main experiences of our lives before we incarnate. We choose our family, our main challenges, even our greatest pains, because these are the very experiences that will give us the growth opportunities our soul most needs. This may seem difficult to accept when you're in the midst of an emotional storm, but it's actually profoundly liberating. If on some level you chose your experiences, it means you also have the power to transform them. You are not a victim of circumstances, you are the spiritual director of your own evolutionary journey. Assuming this spiritual responsibility doesn't mean denying your emotions or pretending that pain doesn't exist. It means recognizing that even within pain there is a sacred purpose, and that you have the ability to extract wisdom and growth from any situation. When you stop seeing yourself as a victim and begin to see yourself as an evolving soul, something magical happens. You develop what Cayce called sacred detachment, the ability to be fully present in the experience without being destroyed by it. Surrender, responsibility, and recognition, the three pillars of spiritual freedom, and here we come to the third pillar, surrender. But not the surrender of defeat, the surrender of control. Edgar Cayce constantly spoke about the importance of surrendering the personal will to the divine will. This doesn't mean becoming passive or letting others walk all over you. It means recognizing that there's a higher intelligence orchestrating your life, a cosmic wisdom that sees the big picture while you only see fragments. True surrender is about letting go of the need to control how and when your life lessons manifest. It's about trusting that even when you don't understand why something is happening, there's a divine purpose unfolding. It's about developing unwavering faith that the universe is conspiring in your favor, even when appearances suggest otherwise. But let me share something even deeper with you. Did you know that every person who causes you distress also carries a part of you that needs healing? Edgar Cayce taught that there are no coincidences in human encounters, only souls recognizing each other and offering each other the opportunity for mutual healing. That person who makes you angry is mirroring an unresolved anger within you. That person who rejects you is reflecting a rejection you feel towards some part of yourself. And what if I told you that you can use this understanding to completely free yourself from the need for external validation? Imagine never again feeling that tightness in your chest when someone criticizes you. Imagine never again losing sleep because someone didn't return your affection. Imagine becoming so secure in who you are, so grounded in your connection with the divine, that nothing that happens in the outside world can shake your inner peace. If you're feeling that these words are touching something deep within you, that they're awakening memories of a wisdom your soul already knows, then I have a special invitation. This channel is dedicated to exploring these profound mysteries of the human soul, to translating the teachings of masters like Edgar Cayce for our contemporary reality. If you want to continue this journey of self-discovery, if you want to regularly receive these life-transforming reflections, click the subscribe button now and hit the notification bell. Because when you subscribe, you're not just following a channel, you're joining a community of awakened souls, people who, like you, have chosen to stop being victims of circumstances and become masters of their own spiritual experiences. And I can assure you, every video you receive will be a new key to unlock doors of understanding you didn't even know existed within you. Now, returning to our journey of inner liberation, I want to tell you about a concept that Edgar Cayce considered fundamental, what he called creative silence. In those moments when you feel most distressed, when emotions are turbulent and thoughts are chaotic, there's a simple yet profoundly transformative practice that can instantly reconnect you with your inner peace. Cayce taught that within every human being there is a sacred space, a point of absolute stillness, where our direct connection with the divine resides. This space cannot be touched by external circumstances, cannot be hurt by the words of others, cannot be destroyed by betrayals or losses. It's what mystics of all traditions call the still point within the moving, the eye of the hurricane, the inner Christ. When you learn to consciously access this sacred space, something extraordinary happens. You develop what we could call spiritual immunity, not because you become insensitive or closed off, but because you become so connected with your own divine essence that the fluctuations of the outside world begin to seem like waves on the surface of a deep ocean. They're there, You perceive them, but they can't disturb the stillness of the depths. To access this sacred space, Cayce recommended a practice he called inner communion. Imagine that you're sitting in a secret garden within your heart, a place where only you and the divine can meet. In this garden, there are no judgments, there are no fears, there are no afflictions, there is only unconditional love and absolute peace. Every time you feel disturbed by something external, you mentally retreat to this inner garden and remind yourself, I am more than this situation. I am more than this emotion. I am an eternal soul experiencing a temporary experience. But perhaps you're wondering, how can I be sure this really works? How can I trust teachings about past lives and spiritual purposes when I'm suffering in the here and now? Edgar Cayce had a simple answer to this question. Tested in experience, he always said that spiritual truth doesn't need to be accepted on blind faith. It can be proven by its fruits in practical life. Start by observing the patterns in your life. Notice what kind of person or situation consistently disturbs you. Then, instead of automatically reacting with anger, hurt, or fear, try applying the 3 pillars we've discussed. Recognize that there may be a spiritual lesson hidden in the situation. Take responsibility for being a co-creator of your experience, and surrender to the higher purpose, trusting that there is divine wisdom operating even when you can't see it. Let me give you a practical example. Let's say your partner is constantly late for appointments and this makes you furious. Instead of just fighting about punctuality, you can use this situation as a spiritual mirror. What are your partner's latenesses reflecting about you? Perhaps an excessive need for control? Perhaps a belief that you're not important enough to be prioritized? Perhaps a tendency to seek validation through external consideration? When you recognize the internal pattern being mirrored, you can begin working on true healing, not by trying to change your partner, but by healing the inner wound that makes you feel devalued when someone is late. And a magical thing happens when you heal that inner wound. Either your partner naturally becomes more punctual, the lateness simply stops bothering you, or you find creative ways to manage the differences in pace without conflict. Edgar Cayce often spoke about synchronicities, those moments when the universe seems to conspire to send you exactly the message you need to hear. When you begin to live from the spiritual perspective we're exploring, you'll notice these synchronicities become increasingly frequent. It's as if the universe is constantly trying to show you that you're on the right path, that you're finally aligned with your higher purpose. Perhaps you'll find a book that speaks exactly to what you needed to understand. Maybe a song will play on the radio with lyrics that perfectly answer your inner question. Perhaps a stranger will make a casual comment that illuminates something you've been trying to understand for months. These aren't coincidences, they're confirmations that when you align with your spiritual truth, the entire universe aligns to support you. But there's something even deeper I want to share with you. Edgar Cayce taught that each soul incarnates with what he called a spiritual vocation, a unique purpose only you can fulfill in this life. All your experiences, including the most painful ones, are pieces of a cosmic puzzle that, when assembled, reveals the beauty of your spiritual mission. Think of your greatest pains, your biggest challenges. Now imagine that each one was carefully chosen to develop specific qualities you'll need to fulfill your life's purpose. That betrayal that nearly destroyed you may have developed in you a deep compassion for others who suffer betrayals. That devastating financial loss may have taught you to find riches that can't be stolen, riches of spirit, of human connection, of unwavering faith. When you begin to see your most difficult experiences as spiritual training for your higher vocation, something revolutionary happens. You stop resisting the pain and begin to extract all the wisdom possible from it. You become like a spiritual alchemist, turning lead into gold, transforming suffering into wisdom, turning wounds into sources of healing for others. And here we arrive at one of Edgar Cayce's most beautiful and liberating teachings, the understanding that we're not here to avoid all difficult experiences, but to become so spiritually mature that no experience, good or bad, can derail us from our connection to unconditional love. Imagine being like a deeply rooted tree. Storms may shake its branches, may even tear off some leaves, but they can never uproot you because your roots extend to the deep waters of spiritual truth. You remain flexible yet unshakable, able to dance with life's winds without losing your fundamental stability. This is the promise of Edgar Cayce's teachings. You can reach a point in your spiritual evolution where absolutely nothing and no one can truly afflict you anymore. Not because you've become insensitive, but because you've become so connected to your divine nature that any external disturbance is immediately transformed into an opportunity for growth and the expression of love. But how do you know if you're progressing on this journey? Cayce taught that there are clear signs of spiritual maturity. You begin to feel genuine compassion for the people who once hurt you, recognizing that they too are souls struggling with their own karmic lessons. You develop an inner peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances. You become more interested in giving than receiving, more focused on serving than being served. And perhaps the most beautiful sign of all, you begin to radiate a presence that calms and heals others, even without consciously trying. Your own transformation becomes a beacon of hope for other souls still struggling in life's storms. I want you to do an exercise with me now. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine that you've already attained this state of unshakable peace. Imagine that you are a constant source of love and wisdom, immune to the fluctuations of the outside world. How would you feel? How would you act? How would you treat the people who once disturbed you? Now open your eyes and know that this version of you isn't a fantasy, it's your actual spiritual potential waiting to be awakened. Edgar Cayce always said that the kingdom of heaven is within you, meaning that all the peace, all the love, all the wisdom you seek in the outside world already exists fully developed within your own soul. The journey isn't about acquiring something new, but about removing the layers of conditioning, fear, and ego identification that are hiding your true nature. It's like polishing a dust-covered mirror. The reflection has always been there, perfect and clear, waiting to be revealed. And here's a truth that can change your life forever. Every person who afflicts you, every situation that disturbs you, is actually a gift in disguise, an opportunity for you to practice returning to your divine center. They're like weights in a spiritual gym, strengthening your ability to remain at peace no matter what happens around you. Think of someone who truly bothers you. Now imagine sending unconditional love to that person, not because they deserve it or because you approve of their actions, but because choosing love over irritation strengthens your connection to your own divinity. Every time you choose peace over disturbance, you are literally rewiring your spiritual nervous system, creating new neural pathways that make peace your natural state. Edgar Cayce spoke of what he called soul memories, moments when we experience flashes of our true nature, our connection to the divine. Perhaps you've felt this moments of profound peace in nature, moments of unconditional love looking at a child, moments of unity during meditation or prayer. These aren't exceptional experiences. They're reminders of who you truly are beneath all the layers of personality and conditioning. The goal of the spiritual journey is to make these soul memories your permanent state of being. And the good news is that this doesn't require years of isolation in monasteries or complicated esoteric practices. It simply requires the consistent decision to choose love over fear, peace over conflict, wisdom over reactivity. Every moment of your life is an opportunity to practice this choice. Every difficult interaction is an invitation to strengthen your connection with your divine center. Every challenge is a chance to demonstrate to yourself that you are bigger than any external circumstance. And when you finally embody this truth, when living in unshakable peace becomes second nature, something magical happens. You become an instrument of healing in the world. Your very presence begins to raise the vibration of any environment you enter. Your peace becomes contagious, inspiring others to find their own connection to the divine. This is the legacy Edgar Cayce left us, the understanding that each of us has the potential to become a clear channel for unconditional love, a source of peace in a turbulent world, a living example that it's possible to live in the world without being controlled by the world. So my final question for you is this: if you knew with absolute certainty that it's possible to reach a state where nothing and no one can truly upset you, where you would become an oasis of peace amidst any storm, what choice would you make today to take the first step in that direction? Because a journey of 1,000 miles always begins with a single step, and that step can be taken now, in this very moment, with a simple decision to see your life through the eyes of the soul, instead of the eyes of fear.